Hello Barmy Badger Army, welcome to today's show. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time. And as you know, I have a love-hate relationship with Insane Trilogy, and perhaps even the first Crash Bandicoot is one of my favourites, yet it's probably the hardest game I've ever played. And of course, number 2, with number 3 being fun, but fairly easy to complete apart from the racing levels. Now, I digress. Insane Trilogy is quite fun, it was actually quite reasonable, and I really enjoyed the fact that you got free DLC. Now, after that, they seem to take a U-turn on that approach, with the free DLC apparently being a bit boring. And then, of course, they released CTR, which was a mixture of 2 racing games mixed in together. I can't remember exactly which ones. Don't forget to comment down below so I remember. And then they decided to, as it were, and I can still see it now, they're milking the DLC, they're milking the money. If you want to be able to, advance in the racetracks and advance with different power-ups and different skins, then you need to pay out through the nose. And of course, this isn't a new trick. Loot boxes and things like that have been insanely popular, and of course maybe a total waste of money. I mean, there's games that I've been playing for ages that have got loot boxes in and things like that, like Brawlhalla, Paladins, you could go on and on and on, Dead by Daylight, all these different things where you have to buy extra to advance if you wish to. Now, I prefer games like Dead by Daylight in some ways, because once you've got the killer, you can advance it by, getting free stuff. But with skins and things like that, I don't really like it. Now, let's get on to our main point, once we've talked about this as well. Is it truly the actual Crash 4? I don't know so much about that. I know that Activision and Toys for Bob are saying that they want to carry on the storyline from Insane Trilogy, which is fair enough. But is it the true 4? Because there's other games in there that are technically Crash Bandicoot 4. Shouldn't they have called it Crash It's About Time and then popped it in there after Insane Trilogy rather than labelling it Crash 4? I'm not so sure it needed to be Crash 4. Surely after the first trilogy, you need to dispense with numbers, and it should have been It's About Time, and it could have been after Insane Trilogy, and then still fitted in all the other original games. That's what could have happened. I think that's a good option, but obviously they've opted it to call it 4, even though technically there isn't already a Crash Bandicoot 4. And if they're doing sort of time-related adjustments, surely it doesn't need a number and can be slotted in anywhere. Because obviously, if they're doing time travel, thanks to the DLC that was in Insane Trilogy, I think anything's possible. Now, the price hike of this supposed 4th one is insane. What are they doing? 60 quid? I understand it's not a remaster, but the fact that you paid about £35, I believe, don't quote me, I can't remember exactly, I think it was about 35 to 40 when Insane Trilogy first came out, for 3 games and a load of free DLC, and now they want to double the price near enough and have paid transactions. No, mate. I don't really like the idea on that. I think that's a bit over the top, and I think obviously fans have responded to Activision and Toys for Bob by buying through the nose with CTR. They're showing that they're going to put their cash out, they're showing that they're going to pay money, and now they're obviously taking that same strategy on with this new game. Now, I don't really like that. I mean, racing games, you can sort of get away with it, but how much DLC are they going to pump into this? I suppose they could do alternate characters, alternate skins, special levels, DLCs, all this sorts of thing. The list can go on and on and on. Collaborations, they could even have Players Little Big Planet, or Players Sackboy, or Players, Wreck-It Ralph, or Players Sly Cooper, Players, all these different characters, like Players Spyro in a level. They could do that. They've done it with Skylanders. They could do it with this. But the problem is, people are going to eat it up. And the problem is, it's a real shame for fans who probably could just about afford to pay out for Insane Trilogy and CTR, and now they're trying to milk the fans again. If you can't afford it and you're on a budget, £60 is a lot of money. I know that it's easy to wait and you can take your time with these things, but I just don't think it's fair. I really think they need to think about fans that are on a budget and think about fans that have been loyal. Now, the problem with this is, what's going to happen is that people are going to shy away from Crash Bandicoot for It's About Time, and they're going to go on to the modding scene, where Toys for Bob and Activision won't get any money. So the company will end up being in trouble in a way, because they're going to end up paying through the nose. They're going to push this forward. People are going to miss out, and they're going to end up going on to the remastered versions, the PC versions, the slightly different bootleg versions of each of these games, or people are going to just wait and rip it and use it as a ROM and things like that, because I can't imagine it's going to be massive. I mean, there is going to be 100 levels, but is it worth 60 quid plus paid for DLC plus microtransactions? I'm not feeling it. What I think they should do is lower the price to about £35, maybe £40. I mean, that is a legitimate price for a new game. And then, obviously, you can get away with, oh, you know, I might spend a tenner on a DLC and things like that. That's what happened with Mortal Kombat for me, Mortal Kombat 11. I paid £20 for Mortal Kombat 11, and then I bought the Spawn DLC and things like that, but I begrudge paying out for Aftermath because that was ridiculously overpriced. 35 quid for a glorified DLC? I don't think so. So those are my thoughts on there. I think the company are way off base. They're milking the fans. They're being a bit over the top with it. I'd love to know your thoughts on it. Do you agree with the fact that they're charging 60 quid plus paid for transactions? I'd love to know your thoughts. Do you think that's reasonable? Can you afford it, or do you think it's over the top? Another point is, with PlayStation 5 looming, isn't that a bit overpriced for a game that's going to come out on technically what is now yesterday's technology? Because the PS5 is looming and they're going to be releasing this about October. Shouldn't they have just waited? Perhaps they could have strong-armed a bigger price if it was coming out for the PS5. But a PS4 release, which is technically now last gen, is that too expensive? I think so. I would have gone for about 35 quid. Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you next time. Plus, do you enjoy the new background? Let me know. Bye!